We're good? Okay. All right, just a little bit of an explanation of where I was on Tuesday. I thought I was going to be able to give my lectures and then sneak out of here down to Phoenix and back. But come to find out, I was supposed to be down there earlier on Tuesday than I had anticipated. So I left at about 7 o'clock, 7:30 Tuesday morning to head to the airport. Went down to this Boeing Northrop Grumman conference, wherein they invite their Tier 1 and Tier 2 suppliers to come in. And they, for 4 days, talk about their problems with moving data, with interoperability, with trying to get CAD to do more than what it currently does, trying to do better optimization in topology optimization as well as just straight up FEA optimization. And so the first day or two, which was Monday and Tuesday morning, was all close proprietary sessions. So they had Boeing in one camp and Northrop Grumman in another camp. And then Tuesday afternoon, they opened it up to all of their suppliers and to other attendees, which I was in the other category. And by Wednesday, it was all kind of open, and they were having general sessions, and they gave us an hour and 40 minutes to present on the multi-user research that we're doing. And it was interesting. We were in the largest breakout room, which had about 80 chairs or so in the room, and there were another 20 people standing around the outside. So it was a packed audience. We presented the research, and after the research was over, it was a mad rush to kind of the front because we invited them to actually join the NSF Center that we have set up here. And probably the best one was he was a short in stature young man that came up representing the U.S. Army. And he said, I can get you the $30,000 tomorrow, which means today. And I said, hey, that's great. And then the next word out of his mouth was, well, can we pay like 2 or even 3 years ahead because we have money this year that we may not have next year? And I basically said, well, if Obama allows that, then sure, pay as much as you can. And so it looks like the U.S. Army is going to be joining along. They're going to try and bring along a bunch of their key supply people into this. It was accepted in a kind of an amazing way. Everybody was talking about where did you come up with this, and how far along are you, and how usable it is, and everything. And after I walked out of the room, Siemens came up and said, we're going to be sending our money, and the Dassault person came up and said, is Dassault kind of involved with this? And I said, it's a bit of a challenge. They're kind of involved, but not. And he goes, who are you talking to? And I told him. And he goes, oh, wrong group of people. I'm not sure they even understand probably what you were telling them. I can get you to the right people. So it was a really, really good conference. A year from right now in Orlando, the U.S. Army is holding a very large conference for all government service organizations. So the Air Force will be there, the Marines will be there, all of the companies that basically provide to the military are going to be at this conference. And this little Paul was his name. Paul said, would you be willing to come down and be a keynote speaker? It's about 3,500 people that'll be in attendance, and we'd like to have you be kind of the keynote person a year from now. And so I said, sure, if I'm still alive, I'll be there.
I'd be happy to fly down with you if you need some support.
Somebody to go and enjoy the beaches in Orlando.
Disney World.
Disney World. Okay, I took with me all of your written midterms. Flying down, I got about 2/3 of the way through the stack, grading pages 2 and 3. And on the way back, I got through the rest of the page 2 and 3. Page 1 is still to be graded. I hope to get on that tonight, and if not tonight, certainly tomorrow or the weekend. So by Tuesday, we should be getting it back into your hands. There are some very good scores on page 2 and 3. There are a big group of kind of average scores, and there are some that are kind of in outer darkness, so to speak, very blank. And in looking at that, I think probably what we'll do is figure out an assignment or something for those that want to try and make up a little bit of those lost points. We'll figure out something that makes sense. I think if we, when we turn it back, if we take a few minutes and kind of talk about those curves and surfaces, I think many of you will kind of realize the mistakes that you maybe did in a rush. And if they are just simple mistakes that you made because of the time pressure, that's one thing. If it's something that you just kind of didn't catch as we lectured on it, then we need to make sure that you get it before the final exam rolls around. So today's discussion is on visualization. And here are a couple of examples from last year the teams of students worked on. So in the top, 2 images I think are pretty decent examples of what I would call fairly nice renderings of a car assembly with the body. We would like each of you, as you build your car shell, we would like you to kind of put it on your platform, your chassis, and we would like you to try and experiment and work with some rendering, okay? If you can't produce a really great looking image as an engineer, it's going to be hard for you to get noticed and get promoted and moved up. Images, unfortunately, carry a lot of weight. And oftentimes they carry more weight than the science and the underlying engineering that went into it. That's just kind of the way management reacts to it, okay? Management looks at it and says, gee, if this thing looks that good, you must know what you're doing. And in my career, I've seen lots of people get moved down the path of success based on really great renderings, and sometimes they weren't the best engineers in the world. So if you can be a really great engineer and at the same time generate some really great images, then that's going to help you in your career. Is there something wrong with the 2 images in the middle?
You see right through this.
Oh, I see.
So the one on the right is a space car. Now, that's not what we're asking you to create, okay? So if we saw the rest of this image up here, which I kind of trimmed off,
Nebulous.
it's the nebulous, okay? Which just doesn't do much even for MBA types that, you know, I mean, they're going to look at the car and say, we're not producing cars that are headed off to the nebulous, okay? So when you're doing engineering renderings, make them kind of realistic. this lower left image, okay, a pretty great image sitting on a tile floor, okay, but what's missing?
Wheels.
The rest of the car, you know, and so if you're trying to send the message that all we're doing is producing the shell of the car, then maybe that's okay, but if you're working for a company that's doing this entire, you know, RC vehicle, then take the time and put it all together to do the rendering, okay? What's wrong with the right-hand picture?
I can't even tell what's going on. I think it's a race car.
It is the Formula car without the shell, no shell,
No wheels.
no wheels, and it looks like it was a beached whale.
Exactly.
I mean, when does a Formula car sit on a beach right next to some water and you can't tell there's really water there? But it looks somewhat like a beached whale and the shell got ripped off in the waves, you know, in the breakers or whatever coming in. So if we crop this thing and just looked at it without all of the stuff surrounding it, you may look at it and say, well, that's really pretty good, you know. What we want is to have believable images, okay? So the top two, I think, are pretty decent renderings, okay? The right one, they took enough time to put decals on, which is a texture mapping technique that you can do inside of your CAD package. You can just find an image, and that image can just be wrapped right on top of it. If you're going to do renderings of components, which is fine, it's pretty cool, just make sure that you're putting them in a good environment and that you're lighting them in an appropriate way, okay? Now, the upper left one I thought was pretty clever, okay? So they did a little green screen, a little photo magic, a little whatever you want to call it, but they basically scaled up their motorcycle, took a picture of them standing up against the wall, and then figured out how to Photoshop the two together. And that's a pretty clever, you know, image that took them a few minutes to kind of put together. These other two images of a Formula race car, again, this is a pretty sweet, looks like it's on a turntable in a showroom. This one, what they did is they took a few minutes, the lower left-hand corner for the remote students, they took two images. They took a wireframe image in a precise orientation. They took a rendered image in the same orientation, and then they used basic layers inside of Photoshop to kind of do a gradient transparency through the thing. And it's a pretty nice image, but it just took them a few minutes to think about, well, I want to fix my orientation. So they saved off a viewpoint, and they said, I'm going to use this viewpoint to capture lots of different images, okay? And if you save that viewpoint and you do it early enough in the semester, you can basically capture images of how this car is being built up in a sequence. It looked like this the week of September 11th. It looked like this on the 18th. It looked like this on the 25th. And you just kind of march on down through saying, this is what our vehicle looked like over the time of this semester. Now, is this going to play? Is the question. Why didn't this, or did it already play? Did it play when we went? There's a nice little movie. It's not playing. Why is it not playing? Oh, because it's on a removable hard drive that I didn't copy it over. Next time we'll bring a little